I'm Josh Sigman, and I'm a mortgage lender. I'm also a geek for money, not just earning it and saving it, but literally everything about it. I love that money has rules. It has its truths. I love investment strategies, and I love making money work for us. For so many, money is emotional. For me, it's logical, like a puzzle. My passion is also helping others with their money. I love looking at people's finances, dissecting their puzzle, and rebuilding with strategy and purpose, and I'm really good at it. I'm making this podcast about my money strategies, not the things that are written in books or sold in programs. It's a podcast outlining the lessons I've learned and used for the past 15 years. These strategies help me and those who use them save more, give more, create wealth, and retire early. Let me teach you how to build your net worth. You ready? Welcome to Sigman Sense. Welcome back
to Sigman Sense.
We are your hosts.
That's Josh.
That's Brynn. And we're going to talk today about something that I am very passionate about, but it's a very easy conversation. If you worry about money at all, if you've been listening to a few episodes, there'll be some redundancy here, but it's really financial tips for college students. So I feel like this conversation should be a very simple, broad strokes kind of conversation that you might pass on to a college kid or somebody that's in college or about to go to college. Even high schoolers. I think that even high schoolers can benefit from a couple of the things we're going to talk about.
Absolutely.
Just because it goes back to getting the dialogue, something to talk about. What are the focal points? No one's going to be, I shouldn't say nobody. We're not going to college during college to be millionaires, right? That's not, but what I do see is people will go to college and they come out better prepared for the future, or they come out with a mountain of debt that they're not prepared at all to handle based on their career choices or whatever else. So I do think that you can set yourself up for a little bit of a better success. I'm also going to throw some financial tips out for parents of kids at college.
I think that's good.
To create some level of accountability, because I have the ability to pay for all my kids' colleges, but I'm not going to write a check early. I want to make sure there's some buy-in along the way and make sure that they are adults that finish what they start. Totally. And so, yes, I'm going to give them a leg up. I'm not going to just...
So what do you mean by that? You're not going to write it, or like, do they have to finish a semester and then you'll...
I'm not paying for D's. I'm not paying for C's probably.
D's don't get degrees,
right.
But C's
D's
do.
D's don't get degrees.
But C's do.
Yeah, but I still, show me that you give a shit and get a 3.0. I don't need a 4.0, but get a 3.0 and finish.
Gotta finish.
So I'm not going to pay for every year of college indefinitely. I'll pay for 4 years. If you want to do a victory lap, that's awesome. Have fun. I'm not paying for it.
Really expensive.
It's really expensive, right?
Really expensive victory lap.
So things like that are what I'm going to get to. But I'd be curious when you think about it because you've got the closest to college right now. It's kind of crazy. You got a driver at home.
Oh my gosh. We have like 18 months.
Well, let's talk about her for a second. So what's her mindset around money right now when it comes to after high school? What's
I don't know.
This is KK we're talking about.
Yeah. So gosh, KK has grown up so much in the last month. It's been pretty incredible. So she turned 16 in February, got her license in September, got a job a week after her license. Yeah. So she's grown up quite a bit. And so I don't really know that I can say. She asks a lot of questions about college. She asks, did I have to work? What was your dorm room like? Do I have to buy furniture for that dorm room, or is that later down the road? So she does ask a lot of things like that. But I can tell you we have talked to her a lot about the money that she's receiving now, because she's working, and she worked for Randy and I over during COVID. So we were paying her weekly to do some things. And so we already told her 20% of everything that you make, put it into a savings account and don't touch it. And she's been really very good about that. That's which awesome. I love to see. And
she's 16.
She's 16. Yeah. So I think more than anything, she's trying to decide how much money she's going to need. And then that's dictating her spending. Because when she first started making money, oh my gosh,
Start buying.
I mean, Like it didn't even, I mean, it was still warm by the time it was spent. I mean, and she had so much fun. Now that she's got some responsibility, she has to have money in her account to buy a tank of gas. And, there's some things that we make her responsibility. So it's cool. She's very conscious of it, I guess is the right answer. And she knows she's got a college fund. She will work. I mean, she's going to work and, she'll have to have, her money will be used for her recreation and probably some bills. And, I'll probably set it up a lot like my parents set it up for me.
Does she have a credit card yet?
Mm-mm.
Good.
No credit cards.
Okay.
No.
So let's just talk about some basics here. So I didn't go to college with any financial skills. Let's just start there, right? So it sounds to me like your daughter's way, way, way further ahead than I was.
She's getting there, yeah. I didn't either.
Yeah, I'd be curious what percentage of the audience, if they went to college, right?
One thing I've always done is made money.
Right.
Always.
Yep.
Like starting at 15, 16. I had a job. I was waiting tables at IHOP as a 16
Well, you had an older brother
17.
that also taught you a little bit about money
Absolutely.
too. Absolutely.
So I was really good at earning it,
Yep.
but past that,
that's about it.
that's about it.
I was really good at using credit cards. I was really good
I got really good at that too.
I got really good at using credit cards and transferring balances and then getting a free t-shirt to get another credit card and then transferring balances. And I think I got like 12.
That's the risk tolerance difference between us.
No, that's just being a stupid kid. That was just what I was doing.
But
I wanted to have fun.
I essentially did the same thing, but I would just max it out and then be like, well, all right, that train stops here. And then I'd start paying it down and then do it again.
Yep.
You just found a way to like keep the good times rolling, rolling.
Yeah.
But that's risky. Like I don't have that risk tolerance. So we both have the spending in common.
Yeah, but necessity is the mother of invention too, right?
That is so true.
So it's just I was in spring break and had literally no money. So I got there and I was about 3 days into 8 days in my freshman year. I think that's when I got my first credit card actually. I was 3 days into my first, 3 days into a 7-day trip and I was out of money. And I was like, well, what do I do now? Because there's no job there.
I mean,
although I did get to work the beach, meaning that I had a fake ID and I got caught with it. And so I had to go report to the Panama City Beach police and I couldn't pay for the fine. So the judge made me work the road and pick up trash for a day.
Yes.
So I did get that for one day of spring break. But on that third day, I remember I was walking down the beach. I was filthy and I found they found us because they were predators, but the credit card companies were handing out free t-shirts if you sign up for a credit card. And I got like 3 on that spot. So, but here's
you got clothes and money in one swoop.
I didn't have to do laundry. It was amazing. It was amazing. So all that's to be said, like there's a right way and a wrong way to do it. And I hope that anyone that's young or old that's listening to me say this story or laughing about it, because God knows that's the wrong way to do it.
It's incorrect.
And so if I were to start with the first thing, I would say when we start with as early as possible, ideally, before you go to college, but you got to have a checking and savings account yourself. There's a lot of people that still have piggy banks, like literally they've got cash in their drawer in high school. Mm-hmm. And that's not appropriate because I do know a lot of friends that were stolen from at college. And let's not just say college. Okay. Let's also say you graduate from high school and you're on your own.
Like 18 to 21,
18
22.
to 22.
Yeah.
18 to 22, right? So I know a lot of people, servers friends of mine that had a wad of cash, and of course there was a party next door, and of course it's all gone.
I had money stolen from me for sure.
So,
and I blamed it on my roommate, and it was totally my asshole boyfriend at the time.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
That's what girls do. Just go straight to the friend because the boyfriend would never do it.
That's right. Well,
burn that friendship bridge down.
That's funny. Guys don't think that way at all.
Yeah, it's not fair.
For sure, it's always the girl's fault. For sure.
For sure.
So, Gabe, why are you laughing over there?
He's been giggling the whole time.
He has been giggling. So, but for real, you got to have a checking and savings account. I think you start there. I love what you said that your daughter's already learned to siphon 20% to savings, right?
Absolutely.
So if you're asking why you want 2 accounts, that's why. You got to have one that's out of sight, out of mind. So have a checking account that you have access to because we need ready cash. And you can use it like a debit card. So it's not a credit card. You can use it as a debit card. You can put your hands on cash for the weekend or whatever. but you're always setting aside 20%, that savings account will serve as both an emergency account as well as like you're trying to save.
Yeah.
Because one thing I've learned about life is every year you get older, it gets more expensive.
I mean,
it's crazy. Like even like paying for kids, I was like, this isn't that big of a deal when their kids are like 3. And now today is homecoming for my kids' school.
It is.
Yeah. I didn't know how expensive mums were.
Oh man.
Are you kidding me? It's my first mom's experience. I've got 2 daughters and I'm like, what in the hell is that? And of course my wife.
At least they're receiving the big.
Christy got us decorated mask to wear to homecoming with a little tiny mum hanging from the side. I was like,
love it.
What's wrong with you? It's like, she's like, this is welcome to Texas, sweetheart.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, as people get older, it costs more money. And so learning that early and understanding that freshman year is just the beginning, right? Like, or first year out, we learn to live off nothing when we first leave the nest, right?
Yeah.
Ramen noodles is excellent for any 19-year-old.
Easy mac rocks.
Right. But like, it wasn't even like it wasn't like you were giving up anything to eat ramen noodles.
No.
I was like, this is awesome.
This is
mac and cheese. Amazing.
Absolutely.
Right?
And lemon chips.
We learn how to do things really
Heavenly.
cheap early on because it all goes back to context of how much, what's something worth, right? Like my son and I, my son's 10, we were talking the other day about like, what's the value of my own house? And I told him, he's like, so is that like, would I have to work for like 60 hours?
Isn't that so
And
funny?
I was like, we have 60 hours a day for about 60 years.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
They really, really don't have any context.
Right. And so it also goes to like what KK's enjoyed immediately, like, oh my God, I'm rich, right? I brought home my first $300 paycheck. I'm rich and blew it. Right. So that's a normal cycle.
Yeah.
And so you don't really understand what it is, but generally speaking, what you do is when you go out on your own, you're going to end up spending what you have, every last dollar. So if you can just start by just having the discipline to not spend it all.
Absolutely.
That's the first step in my opinion, right? Just don't spend it all. Make sure that at the end of every week, you are positive balance, not negative balance, not even. So if you're a server, if you are, working at this school, whatever, and making $10 an hour, $15 an hour, that's awesome. Just don't spend it all. And people always say, well, it's impossible to live off that. And I for sure I can assure you it is absolutely possible.
It is possible. So I'll start by saying like lean in to the broke college student vibe, right?
There's a reason why people say it's the best time of your life.
It is.
Really is.
It really is. And like, there's no other time in your life where it's socially great and acceptable to be broke and like do things that are like, so lean into it. So I waited tables and bartended through college. And my brother actually gave me this tip. So basically he said, calculate all your expenses for the month, how much you need to pay each month, divide that by 4. That's how much money needs to go into the bank each week to pay the bills. So week 1, I used to work 3 shifts. So Tuesday, Friday, Saturday. Let's say it was $400 a week that I needed to put into the checking account. Well, if I made that on Tuesday night, then Friday night, 20% of the total, whatever that amount was, that would go into savings. Past that, everything else I got to spend in cash for the next week.
So you'd have fun.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
And I had the bills taken care of.
Yep. And
I was saving. And I was paying cash for bar tabs and clothes and nails and everything else, Right. And so that was a really clear way to kind of organize. Yeah. And what I liked about it too, in the restaurant business, everybody is all about getting cut early. I'm going to go in, but I'll probably get cut early. It's like so dumb. That is so dumb. So I would never take the cut. In fact, I was the one that's like, y'all get the hell out of here so I can
make more money.
Clear the space so I can have all the tables, get all the dead weight out of here, make my money. I'm only going to be here for 3 days this week. I'll make my $800 and
that's smart.
Call it a day.
On top of that, if I were to do a little asterisk, and this is just a truth for me and my business, the best employees I've got all were waitresses or bartenders. Absolutely. And I've got a lot of them. The best. I'm telling you, from a social skills, from a ability to time manage, eye contact, reading the room, time management, knowing who's
Don't want to be in the weeds.
Right.
Gotta be real efficient.
Like all that stuff can be learned at a young age.
Yes.
And I'm telling you right now, if you, I don't care if if you don't feel like you're an extrovert, like for sure, if you're listening in high school, college, after high school, please do that.
I also feel like everybody should have to work in the service industry
For
at
sure.
some point in their life.
Because there's a whole lot of people that bitch about servants, but they don't actually ever serve.
It should be a rite of passage into
That
life.
and the military. I think everyone should have to go to the military personally.
Oh, I'd be so scared.
I think everyone would be scared, but they'd also appreciate our military a whole lot better.
Absolutely.
If they and their kids all had to go.
Ooh. I
think that's
admire
super
those
important.
people. I don't think I would do well. Just leave it there. I imagine fetal
everyone would be a
position.
little bit tougher. Everyone would be a little bit tougher in this.
Oh
in
yeah,
this country.
totally.
But it's not a political conversation, except it is. So let's go to the next thing. So
Okay.
let's talk about credit cards for a second, because I do want to talk about that as well. I actually do think that it's important to have a credit card at a young age. Okay. Let me tell you why.
I guess you do. The earlier you learn how it feels to
Yes,
max it
'cause
out, the better.
Well, and that's where parents listen to this piece. There's two pieces to this that you can do. Number one is you can co-sign for a small limit credit card, $500 that you have. So when you think in terms of like how I'm going to do it. So you're talking about how KK has to pay for her own tank of gas in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. My kids are going to have to pay for their own, but I'm going to make them charge a credit card.
Charge on the credit card so they can. When they can get their scores.
Well, and they're going to have to pay me.
Ooh,
So
make of dad.
But the point is I need to see that they can pay on time.
I love that.
If they
That's a great
pay
tip.
on time, I know that they're not going to screw up their credit early.
That is a great little
But I'll
test.
make sure that they've got a great credit score. And that's the second reason why I think everyone should have a little bit of credit, be a cosigner. Even if you put a child on a credit card that they don't even have access to at a young age, but make them a cosigner so they're actually building their credit. During and after, like later in life, it serves you so well. You know, it's amazing to me how many people, you know, they are at their first real job, whatever that time frame is, either out of school or out of college, and they're ready to buy a house or buy a car, and they literally have a zero credit score.
That was
by the
Randy.
way,
Randy didn't have it either.
Zero credit score is actually better than bad credit,
100%.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But it still takes some time to get that going, and you don't start off with excellent credit scores, and excellent credit scores give you better rates, better fees, better options, right? So it's a gift down the road.
I thought the credit scores came out of the gate good.
No, they come out of the gate average.
Like
high sixes.
Okay.
High sixes, yeah. They don't come out at 800.
I thought they started in the 700s. I thought the first time you borrow and pay. I thought
you
it comes
typically
out
don't
with,
see that. So I love that question. Let's go down the bunny trail for a second, because it's important to understand. Like, credit scores are determined based on the proven history of a borrower's willingness to repay debt.
Mm-hmm.
Proven history of borrowers.
So if you don't have it,
if you don't have it, you can't get an 800 credit score unless you've had a longer history of always making your payments on time, right? So the reason why I say that is if you're a responsible adult, like, don't screw your kids by taking out a credit card, charging up with their name, because I've seen that too.
I have too.
And it's crazy in our industry. Like the kids, like, I don't have a credit card. It's like, yeah, you've had one for 6 years. Like, I was 16. I didn't have a credit card, right? And then you find out the deadbeat parent was using their credit scores, their social security numbers to get that done. So don't be that person. But if you're responsible and you want to help them out with credit, open a credit card. I want to have a $500 limit.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's specifically for emergency use and for gas. And
So-
let's define emergency use.
I was
'cause
gonna
just saw it. What was emergency for you?
I don't feel like I can say on
I
the air.
feel like you need to say it because your parents are listening and they'll laugh with you now.
Just ask my dad. He'll tell you.
We're gonna hear this. I say everything on air.
I mean,
Let's
no,
hear it.
you don't.
What have
No,
I not-
I mean, you know,
Gabe, have I pulled a punch?
just
Should we hear the story?
everything you can imagine that a college student would consider an emergency. I absolutely fell in line with that. So
That's horrible.
sometimes it was emergency beer. Sometimes it was an emergency outfit. Sometimes it was other things.
That's horrible. So that's where the beatings continue until morale improves. That's what happens, right? But again, I want to have control of the credit card
Yes.
for as long as possible to get the right habits built. Does that make
So
sense?
do you, do kids have to be, do they have to be over 18 to be a cosigner?
I'm 99% sure you cannot get a credit card unless you are age 18.
Cosigner.
Cosigners can be under 18.
Can be under 18. Okay, good. Well, I don't have a credit card. I was like, I'll add her to my credit card. Yeah, I don't have one.
Got it.
Can you add her to yours?
Right.
I need a.
That sounds
Can I borrow
like
somebody's
trouble.
credit card?
That sounds like trouble. So to me, you start with checking account, you start with savings account, you start with identifying what your monthly, but like you didn't have a budget. But what's funny is you knew you needed $400 a week in your example.
Yeah. Yep.
So you find out what it takes for your life to go around, which is a budget. So that's a great conversation to have with young people earlier. And then I also think that you've got to identify the revenue stream. So let's talk about that piece for a second, right?
Yeah.
Like I believe in kids working because I had to work. You had to work. I was working. My first job, I think was, I know for sure. My first job, I was cleaning pots and pans at a Mexican restaurant. And it was freaking horrible.
How old were you?
15. I wasn't allowed to do it, but I did it anyways. I think I had to get a work permit is what it was.
I know. I started waiting.
And I was a lifeguard for a while. And then I
always wanted to be a lifeguard.
It was awesome.
I always wanted to be a lifeguard.
Awesome.
I'd burn to a crisp.
You know what's funny though? I wasn't a cool kid. I felt much cooler being a lifeguard, but I wasn't a cool kid. I
bet. I mean, got the whistle. You swing the whistle.
Yeah. I had zinc on my nose. No, I did not.
I'm like, what? And you still felt cool, eh?
Well, you got to remember, I'm a little bit older than you. But not much though. Not much. But my point is that identifying revenue stream. So this is where you bring in conversation of, are you going to work? Or there's lots of parents out there that want to help their kids. And like one of the things that people wrestle with when they have something is we want to give all to our kids, right? Like I have that desire.
Absolutely.
But you have to remember that you can handicap your kids.
You really can.
Quickly by, you can't learn without pain. So if they never experience being a poor, 18-year-old, then they're not going to create the grit to like go without.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's so hard too.
But
really
there's also times where, like I was a B student. Like I'll just be honest with everyone. I was a B student, but there's certainly some scholar athletes that they literally have no time to work, to have a job.
I would imagine most collegiate athletes can't work, right? I mean, I feel like that is their job to play sports.
Yeah, at least for a season, right? But if they're getting paid by the school, right? If they're going to get a scholarship or something like that, it is a full-time job. So what I would put is parameters around it of, if my kids get even a partial scholarship, then the job is to get straight A's. As an example, the job is to stay on the team if they happen to make a team, which who knows, right? But then we still identify a revenue stream. It's not like, hey, congratulations, you got a scholarship, so you have an open daddy credit card to do whatever the hell you want. It goes back to define that, and it might literally be student loans, okay? So Carson, my best friend, he went off student loans. He introduced me to student loans. I wish he hadn't introduced me to as much student loans as I ended up with, but it was a necessity in some ways, right? The definition of emergencies are probably pretty similar at times.
I just thought of another emergency. This one's really hilarious.
Well, let's hear it because we digress.
This one's good. I found a laundry service that would come and pick up my laundry, go do it, fold it and hang it. And the reason it was an emergency was because I could not ever get time in the laundry room at the dorms. And I couldn't just sit there and like wait around because I could be studying and like making really good use of this time. And
this is what you told your dad?
Huh? He's like, what is this laundry bill? Why are you like, I'm like, oh, it's the most amazing service. He's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And I'm like, you should, there's only like 3 washing machines in this whole dorm place. Like, where am I supposed to do my laundry? He's like, you go to a laundromat. I'm like, oh, not the service that comes and picks it up and drops it back off.
That's hilarious. Oh, spoiled. I love it. I love it.
Gosh.
I love that your daddy
creative.
I love that your dad, who had the ability to, did put his foot down. That makes me happy. But yeah, so the revenue stream might be, it really comes 3 ways. It's student loans, it is work, or it's some level of scholarship, right? So the basis by which you form your spending habits should be based on the revenue stream. You don't base the way you live off of what you want to spend. You base how you're going to live off of what your revenue is. So let me say this a different way. If your revenue is going to be $3,000 a month, live under 3,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I did not my first year of college.
Oh,
and
that's right. Because you just charged it all.
Right. I just charged it all. So what I'm trying to get to is if it's not taught, kids find a way. It's usually not the right way, like what you did with the laundry service. Right. So step one, checking savings. Step two, small credit cards you can manage.
Credit cards.
You can control to teach that habit. Step three, identify a revenue stream. So what's that going to be to build backwards what the budget is, right? Like, and this might be where some hard calls are. Like, I would really like you to have a parking pass at this college, but the parking pass is $200 a month, and you're going to have to just freaking walk.
Or ride the bus.
Or ride the bus, right.
I rode the bus.
So these big schools, you literally park 5 miles away. So you ride a bus or but I'm not going to pay $200 a month for you.
Or
to park.
I just go park anyway, and then I had so many parking tickets.
$50. I had a Jeep, so I just parked in the grass. It wasn't a parking.
And you didn't get a ticket for that?
Maybe a few.
At Tech, you couldn't even drive on campus without getting a ticket. It was terrible. My poor prelude.
But yeah, so I think that's really the next step.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you think about like an E-Trade account?
So I think that teaching kids how to gamble early can be dangerous.
But it's not gambling. I've learned so many valuable lessons.
So if you listen to a previous episode, what Brynn is talking to is I gave all the people on my team some money to open an E-Trade account because I want them to work on their personal money and understand more about the market. And it's working out really well for some people. Some people are still dragging their feet. But the question is basically do that with your kids. I think you do.
Like something like you did with us, so they can learn to watch it.
Again, it'd be a fourth or fifth step. But I would say you do that earlier on as well, and it's where you can control it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, unfortunately, stock market can be just gambling, right? If you don't do the research, understand what you're doing, understand the risk, not set aside. When people see 1,000% returns in Tesla in 6 months, then every kid in the world thinks they're going to make 1,000% return in the next 6 months in Tesla. And it's flagged the last 3 months if you're listening to this in October, right?
I know. I've been watching it.
So it will get better because they're going to crush it with their new pricing. But regardless, that is not. So
maybe like their senior year of college,
I think you do it earlier.
There's probably some students though that are really into that. Like you think finance and.
Here's really the key is that one question I ask myself, and this is good for anyone that in the world as far as personal or professional question to ask yourself is, what skills do I need to develop now so I'll be ready in 3 years or ready in 5 years? Not wait for there to be a damn problem and then develop the skills. So for example, money skills, finance skills are something that people should develop early. So in the college example, I think regardless of what the degree is that somebody's seeking, you must take finance classes. Mm-hmm. 1 or 2. Like just take 1 or 2.
I know I had to, but I was a business major. Like when I started as a
right? Because you went into marketing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I took it as a freshman.
You think about communications, you think about like kinesthetics and things like that. They're not required to take a finance class.
Yeah.
So I do believe that anyone that's going, because it's not offered for the most part in public schools, private schools, in high school.
Correct.
So
we need to put that back on our goal list.
I think so too. But the point is that would be if I was as a parent, my kids, regardless if they like it or not, whether they're great at math or not, they're going to go to a finance class or 2, because half the stuff that I've recited off in their first 5 episodes was just shit that I learned back in college because my finance professor told me, right? Like basic rules that absolutely apply. It's funny to me in the mortgage world, right? Like people are like, oh my God, you get to use your degree all the time. It's like, huh? Well, the computer does most of it, so it's not as much the degree there, but the wisdom that I got from some of those finance classes about the other stuff that are seemingly is not part of the mortgage process gives me the ability to give better advice, right?
Absolutely,
so, I would say that that's a big one. And so let's take somebody that's not going to college. You can still take local college classes for finance. Like you can still pay $500 a semester.
You can audit a class too.
Absolutely, you can. Absolutely. So
so you don't even.
It's something that I think is super, super, super important. Especially you might be a parent listening. You're like, well, I suck at this, so how am I going to teach my kid this?
Go together.
If you're gonna pick a single investment that's probably worth it, investing in your kids' financial knowledge
or go together. Quality time.
Oh, that's actually a great point. But investing in your kids' financial knowledge will serve them big time dividends in life. Big time dividends.
I am telling you, as I said in the beginning, KK has grown up so much in the last month or two. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you that when you start seeing the fruits of your labor, it is so rewarding. Yep. Like, she is saying things, she's repeating back things that we have taught her over the years when we could have sworn there's not a chance in hell she's even listening. Like,
oh, they're listening. They're little sponges.
They are listening, and everything. And so point is,
they don't agree with you necessarily, but they're listening.
Correct. And, a lot of these lessons, unfortunately, start from a place of conflict, right? They get in trouble for something. Mm-hmm. And so then you kind of have to work your way through that trouble. And, at the end, you finally have a reasonable conversation and try to deliver some wisdom and life lessons. And so hearing that she has soaked all of that up and is now ready to apply them in certain areas is so beautiful, and it's super rewarding. So I think, if in the example that you're not great at finance or you are great at finance, partnering with your kid and like really teaching them, like it's just so worth it.
I love it.
It's so worth it.
That is a happy parent. There are lots of parents that are not that happy with their kids. So I
mean, it's a good week. It's a good week. I say that having a teenager is like living in the world of a C, and like the C employee is moments of greatness followed by moments of devastation, back and forth. Yep. And I feel like that is totally how having a teenager, raising a teenager, I feel like they are a C. I feel like I become a C. We're great. Tomorrow it's really bad. Next week we're on cloud 9. It's try to keep up.
The last couple of things I would say that are little asterisks as far as things that you can do, and it really comes down to, do you have anything left over or not? One thing I think is super important to do is if you have leftover money, it shouldn't just all stay in savings indefinitely, right? Like if you're a better earner than most, right? Mm-hmm. But so if you've got a couple $1,000 now adding up into a savings account, a Roth IRA, or getting started with an IRA at an earlier age, because of the rule of 72, because of the rule of compounding interest, that's where the sooner you get started, the better off, because it also serves life habits. Like as soon as a kid is earning income, they can be, if it's 16.
Right. You did bring this up.
Yeah. As soon as they're earning income, they can be contributing to Roth IRAs and IRAs and things like that anyways. To teach that in an early age out of the gate, I think is super, super, super important. Because it's, again, we're just casting students off the wolves. Like I've got a friend, I'm not going to say who he is because I love him to death.
Come on. Just throw him under that bus.
So he used to go to a dentist. He used to go to a dentist, every 6 months in high school, and then he went away to college. It's not that he didn't want to go to a dentist; he just doesn't think about it, right? And then he takes care of his teeth, so he ends up 6 years later. It takes him getting married and his wife telling him that you're going to a dentist for him to actually go to the dentist, right? So it goes back to, it's not a habit until we were forced to do it with repetition, for a long period of time.
Totally.
And that goes back to money too. It's not that we don't want to brush our teeth. It's that our parents yell at us to brush our teeth every morning and night for years and years and years. And so that's why if you can get your little claws in people around money at an earlier age, you just have a better chance of a better habit long-term, right? The two don'ts, let me talk about two don'ts that I see lots of people do when they're 18 and they're the one that makes the money, because the other people are too lazy or don't budget or are unwilling. They're just not generous.
They take the cuts.
Or they're just not generous. Is I see people that start to make money feel that they should, and it might be ego for some guys, pay the bill. Like
every time you go out.
Pick up the bar tab. Right? Like, hey, you made a lot.
Oh, I have a good one. Don't be the one that's like, oh, I'll put my credit card down to hold the tab open. Don't be that guy.
You're going to be screwed over and over and over again.
Don't be that guy. Don't do it.
And it's usually an ego thing, right? Yeah. And I know that younger people now are using more Venmo, and it's being split up earlier, and it's with boys and girls in general. It's not just expected men pay all the time now.
No, it's so
it's
not.
A very independent world, and women are paying their own bills too a lot. My son will pay the bill, but that's
KK's
okay.
really adamant about that too.
That's good. That's good. Independent, strong women.
I'm like, Never mind.
But my point is that one of the other ones I see that happens with people that are earning money at an early age is they're super generous in gifts, and they feel like they should buy lots of Christmas gifts and
I totally
crazy
did that. You're
birthday
right.
gifts.
Yes.
Crazy birthday gifts. And it goes back into there's no context. There's no context about until people start to understand that it took me 10 hours to make this $100.
Yeah.
Right. Then don't buy a freaking $100 gift for a tertiary friend of a friend.
Right.
Because you feel like you need to get a badass. Like this is where you would throw in with 2 other friends to get one nice.
Correct.
Right. So it's just,
I totally did that.
It's just how a lot of people do. I did that. I know.
I was going to say, did you have a friend that did that?
Early on, it was people taking care
you
of me. No, early on, it was people like, I've got several friends, Landon Rain, Cody Reed, Matt Azuna, Travis Conway, Carson Vaughn that would like just take care of me and like pay some bills. Vicky Carragher, a great girlfriend of mine that would just help me out. Shit, Allie Devasto at the time, Nell Bunting. I can go down the list.
That's so nice of them.
Well, it's just like I didn't have money. They took care of me. I did my best.
And you were bartending, right?
Oh, I was working. Again, I had a lot of bad habits to work through. So I was servicing a lot of debt.
Well, you were probably paying all their bar tabs, is my guess. And so then they felt like obligated to, pay a bill or two for you.
I still have like 90% of the people I just listed off, I'm still good friends with today.
Yeah.
So I have a fabulous group of friends. We all took care of each other. And
that's really cool.
It wasn't around money for the most part because all of our families were generally pretty well off. Not everyone had to pay their own bills. There was some parent stuff going on.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I'm trying to formulate my own thoughts about, well, what's the middle ideal ground for our kids, right?
Yeah.
Because I did see, not any of the names I listed, but I did see plenty of people that were throwing around daddy's credit card to pay for all the damn bar tabs.
That's the one you get on.
And it's just what that's the one what?
That's the one you get on. That's the friend.
No, that's not the friend, but that is somebody that you want them to just pick up your bill for.
Well, yeah,
right?
that's what I'm saying. That's the tab you get on.
Don't be a damn mooch. Don't be a mooch. Mooches suck, right? So it's just the buyer beware. Like hopefully you're the one making, you have a little extra savings, you have a little extra checking. Your friends are your friends, but just remember, like most people have 5 or 7 friends. They don't have 15 or 25 friends. That you remember years later.
100%.
So don't just drop it as a habit all the time. Don't pay for crazy gifts all the time.
Probably,
it's just not it's not smart.
What about housing and getting a setup where you have separate leases within one house? Did y'all have stuff like that?
So at Trinity, we're required to stay on campus for the first 3 years. And
3 years?
Yeah, everyone is on campus for 3 years. And then the fourth year we all went off. So yeah, but we made the best of it. It was my house we rented was a fraternity house. We had basically 7.
Hey, if everybody's required to do it, that's awesome.
Yep, everyone was required to do it.
At Tech, it was 1 year, and it was awesome. You know, I mean, it's super fun.
It was all. The dorms were expensive. The food plan is probably comparable to everyone else. But there was no comparison, right? Like everyone was at the same place. What I do see that at different schools that is like kind of annoying to me in general is I have to be in this dorm because this dorm is like freaking Vegas.
Oh yeah,
right. It's got the pool and it's high rise and it's all brand new and it's
nicer than your parents'
cool.
house.
If that is at the expense of your parents' retirement, bad fucking choice.
Bad choice.
If it's something that it's something your parents can do, awesome. Should a student do it living on their own revenue stream? No, no. Listen,
I mean,
it's just
unless you got a hell of a side hustle.
Well, I don't even want to know what your side hustle is. but it goes back to keeping up with the Joneses, right? So
I actually put that down as one of mine.
Keeping up with the Joneses is real.
I feel like college was the time of my life where I really suffered with this big time. But it's also a time where you're meeting so many people from different walks of life and all different thoughts around money and being creative with how to get what you want. And in our female world, that looked like a credit card to every retailer that you can find in the mall. And you just go open the credit card, just go open it and go get outfits and pay the $10 minimum. And I mean, it took me forever to get rid of all of that junk. Here's what it comes back to.
It's not talking about that before somebody leaves the nest is going to end in mostly pain first, and then they'll hopefully learn. But a lot of people later in life never recover. Mm-hmm. They never recover. So, You know, if the reason why we want to talk about this is because there's a whole lot of people that are in that transition, right? And it's an ongoing thing. Everyone's leaving the nest. It happens for thousands of years. It's going to happen. Whether or not you're educated about money doesn't mean it gives you permission to not talk about it. So I believe, in fact, I was taught in public speaking, like the first answer is be real and share pain.
Yeah, totally.
Your kids will resonate with you sharing you don't have to say all the good things that you did. Like you don't have to be the freaking genius. It's letting people know what mistakes you made and what you learned from it so that they don't have to step on the same landmine, but you got to be real and share pain first. And I think that's why, like, I'll tell a story. Like I screwed up badly with finances early on, like badly. And I've thankfully worked my way out of it sooner rather than later because I had some help and learned along the way, but not everyone does.
No.
And I certainly don't want to leave it up to chance for my own kids and, or my neighbors' kids that I care about too. So, I think that pulling a young person aside and just talking openly about what you do know, and if you don't know, put them in touch with somebody that is a professional at that. Yeah. It's just like the conversation about sex, right? Like our kids are going to experience it one way or the other, for better or worse.
Yes,
for better or worse. So avoiding it, the discussion is really a bad option.
It's a
bad option. So get it done early, talk about
early and often.
Talk about it all the time. And same thing with money. And by the way, same thing with politics. Money, sex, and politics, you should talk about as a family.
Those are the things you actually bring to the
things that you
actually bring at the table. You bring to the table.
With your family, you absolutely should. So that's all I've got today.
I love it. Okay, so I'm going to recap really quick. So if you're a college student listening, or if you have if you're leaving the nest, or if you're a parent with a college student, so we want them to have a checking and or savings account. Both. So and not or. Yep. Credit card co-signers on a secured balance, or if they get their own credit card, for sure a secured credit card balance, right?
Ideally, yes. Because,
okay.
By the way, to define that for people, a secured credit card balance, you have to fund it first.
Yeah,
right?
so you go to the
bank. It's not give credit and pay it back. You go to Bank of America, you give them $500 up front. They give you a $500 limit.
Yeah.
Then when it's
really smart,
right? So you can change your credit. You can actually create credit this way, but you can't overspend. They will only let you spend what you have in there.
Instead, like I literally got a $10,000 credit line.
And they do report this on credit cards, by the way, or on the credit agencies.
I should have. Identify a revenue stream. And once you start earning, setting up Roth IRAs and other investments early, and then don't keep up with the Joneses and lean in to being a broke college kid for as long as you can. Lean in.
Absolutely.
It's never, it's not fun when you're older. So
where can people ask questions?
Oh, people can ask questions at sigmansense@gmail.com. Like, share, tell your friends, and make sure you subscribe. Thank you all so much.
Cheers to you. Keep in touch. Bye-bye.
Bye.